One of Penn's most annoying qualities, not that there are many of them, to be fair, is their insistence that you have to be at the airport 3 hours before any flight. This works out reasonably okay when your flight is on time, but when there's delays, it's not quite so fun, which is why after 4 hours of sitting in the airport, I feel like I'm going to lose it. Our plane departure time keeps moving later and later. There's no one waiting for me at the other end, but it feels like I'm late for my first day at work. Plus, I'm not the greatest flyer at the best of times. While I can take my cochlear implant off and tune out for the flight, everything else is difficult. I can't afford to fly in decent seats or pay for the meals on board when it's a long flight, so it's a Boots meal deal out of a carrier bag situation. Not quite the life of luxury I swear I was born for, but somehow was not born into. And before I even get on the plane, there's all the faff with security. I always have to bring a card explaining why I essentially have a magnet in my head that, yes, will definitely set off the scanners, and yet there's still a lot of awkward dancing around until someone eventually decides it's actually fine for me to go through. Despite how many people airports see on a daily basis, a lot of the staff have a really limited understanding of disability in general, and definitely deafness. Today, I got someone speaking extra slowly to me just to be sure I heard, which, funnily enough, did not help. Everyone else just has to worry about whether they've got a belt on or make sure they've unpacked their laptop. Plus, I can't stop thinking about how much my life is about to change. It was weird telling everyone and quitting the job I've had since I was 17, though I suspect that might not have been a bad thing for, emotional growth and all that. And I miss Mason already, even if we didn't leave on the best of terms. I text him. Made it to the airport, X. Since the weekend, texting him feels like pulling nails. The text I hadn't wanted to look at read, sure, but it's not like you'll be down the road for much longer. It'll all be bigger plans we'll book in. It wasn't too bad, but it still kind of stung. I don't know why. It just felt a bit cold. There's none of the usual ease, and any time I try to reference one of our silly little in-jokes, it all falls flat. I guess he just feels guilty about not being able to come to the barbecue, but that hasn't made me feel much better. It's a pity we didn't get to see each other face to face before I left, because we probably could have nipped this tension in the bud, but oh well. Maybe it'll be easier once I'm actually gone, rather than in this weird limbo where we're close by but not able to see each other. It must be hard to be the one left behind, especially when I've been so excited about it. What if he thought I was excited about leaving him, rather than just the job? Stop picking your nails. Pen slaps my hand away, where I'm at risk of doing major cuticle damage. The only good thing is that we managed to find a quiet bit of the airport to sit in, a waiting room with a closing door which blocks most of the overwhelming airport sound out. The downside is that the other people in here can probably hear Pen berating me. No hitting, I'm too on edge. Sorry, they just look too nice to ruin. I finally got a manicure, the one I've been dreaming about whilst washing dishes. No, you don't need good nails to dance, but I did need them to feel good. Tap into some of that confidence I swear I had once. That, yes, I'm hot and cool, I project into the dance videos. I flex my fingers and hold them up. They do look pretty good. Thanks. I probably need something else to destroy, though. My nerves are shot. I'm sure they must sell stress balls or something like that somewhere in the airport. They'd make a killing on them. I blow out my cheeks. You could pick my nails, suggests Pen. I would give up my nice soft hands for the cause of keeping Cassie from frightening everyone in the airport. 1. Ew, gross. I'm not going to pick your nails. It was just a thought. And 2, I don't think it'd hit the same. I like you too much to gnaw on your fingers. Whoa, who said anything about gnawing? I giggle and bare my teeth. In a very terrible Dracula impression, I say, I want to chew your fingies. Pen flings one hand out towards me dramatically, covering their eyes with the other. The sacrifices I make for you. Go on, do it. I'm tempted to, but we're in a dirty airport where Pen has touched everything vaguely interesting, and somehow that seems grosser than what I actually do, which is stick just the pad of my finger in their nose, pushing up the nostril. They open their eyes and we look at each other for a solid 10 seconds or so before they sigh and say, "I'm going to go look around the shops. Don't leave me, I'm needy." "Have you heard from Nathan yet?" I shake my head. "No." They sigh. "I'll bring you back some treats." "Thank you." Pen gets up to go, and I dig around in my bag for the hand sanitizer. I glance at the people in the seats around us to see if our shenanigans went undetected. One person clearly noticed, probably because he's sitting directly opposite me. He looks at me over the top of his paperback with a grin on his face. I say that like it's not a nice grin. It is. It's loose and relaxed, and I instantly know that this man isn't laughing at me, but with me. I awkwardly waggle the hand sanitizer. "Gotta stay hygienic." "Aye," he says. "The perils of the old peck the nose technique. A classic one, though, I have to say." He speaks quickly, like the words are playing with each other, and there's some kind of accent there I can't place. Usually it takes me a while to catch accents, but I hear every word of his deep rumble of a voice in the thankfully quiet seating area. "You know your close combat tactics," I venture, and to my relief, he laughs. "I consider myself somewhat of a connoisseur, especially when it comes to sibling warfare." "Oh, Pen's not my sibling, but they may as well be. We grew up together. You have to know someone pretty long to put a finger up their nose." "Well, of course," he says, putting aside his book on the empty seat next to him. "I'm partial to the old wet finger in the ear myself." "That's dirty fighting," I say. "It is the worst one, I admit. But you know when you found a good one because it's something you don't want them to do back to you." "But what if they do? Casualty of war?" "I don't think it's worth it." "So you're more receptive to a finger in the nose?" I snort with laughter. "Not if you say it like that." "I said it perfectly innocently," he protests. "I'm just a normal man, an innocent man." I think the rest of the people in this waiting area might disagree about either of us being normal or innocent, I say with a laugh. "Well, it's nice to meet you. Abnormal and guilty, worldly." I'm briefly thankful for how much me and my parents would watch Countdown when I was a kid. "Oh, I was gonna go for sinful, which I think makes me the worst mind of the pair of us." Something about the way he says sinful sends shivers down my spine, but I'm pretty sure it's just the aggressive air conditioning in here. "My name's Cassie." "Levi." "And this is Pen," I say as they return, dumping a carrier bag down next to me. They glance at Levi and then back to me. "Oh, I forgot about the magazines. I'm going to get some magazines." And they leave again, power walking away before I can say anything. Or I guess that was Pen. I don't want to rifle through their stuff, but I'm almost certain a magazine was already in there from the way the bag had sharp corners poking through it. If I was single, I'd almost think that Pen was trying to quietly wingman me. But I guess they're just feeling as nervous and off-kilter as I am. After all, they quit their job and upended their life too. We're each other's only constant. When I look back over at Levi, he's moved. To my left stands a woman using a walking stick, her wheelie suitcase flat on the floor. In one quick swoop, Levi lifts it up and writes it next to her. It's so fast that I half think I didn't really see it. He and the woman he's helping strike up a little conversation that I can't hear, and I can't help but watch him. His hard jaw and dark eyes would be intense on anyone else, but his manner is so calming. Within seconds, she's giggling like he's flirting with her, which he probably is. He strikes me as the type of man who would know how to gently charm someone. I blink back into consciousness as he spins round to face me. I hope he didn't catch me staring. "Do you mind watching my stuff while I help this lady to the gate?" he asks. "Yeah, of course. Thanks. I'll just be a tick, I promise." I watch as he holds out an arm for her to take and lifts her suitcase by the handle rather than wheeling it behind them both. And you'd think that I'd be sitting here thinking, wow, what a nice man to have leaped up to help her. How charming is he, with his soft eyes and a smile that makes you want to trust him. But really, I just can't stop looking at his arms, the curve of his biceps and the thickness of his shoulders. I hadn't noticed them when he was just holding a book and we were talking about play fighting. And even though he's now across the waiting lounge, I can't take my eyes off them. They're just arms, I tell myself. Which is true. They are just arms on a man I met in an airport. I glance down at my phone, hoping maybe Mason will have texted me back, but there's nothing. No wonder I'm eyeing up strangers in the airport. Has he gone? Pen drops down into the empty seat next to me. Temporarily. He's just helping that lady to her gate, I say, pointing towards their figures disappearing into the crowd. Pen raises their eyebrows. Is he with her? No, he's just being nice, I say, turning to them so I won't keep looking. As it would be weird if on the way back he caught me gawking. Anyway, what was all that about? What? The disappearing pen act? You didn't even get another magazine, I point out as I realise their hands are empty bar an iced coffee. And you didn't get me one. I just thought you were getting on. I didn't want to intrude. I screw up my nose in confusion. Pen, what are you on about? You don't need to wingman me. I've got Mace at home. So, you're allowed to have a nice time talking to a stranger in an airport. I'm not going to tell anyone you were having a little flirt. I was not flirting. I wouldn't do that. My stomach churns. Okay, but it doesn't matter if you were. A mild flirt with a stranger is harmless. You just look like you were having a nice time. You look relaxed for once. What do they mean, for once? I said I wasn't flirting, I hiss. Typically, this is the exact moment that Levi returns. Thanks for guarding my stuff, he says, sitting back down and flashing a hello again smile at Nod. No problem, I say a little too eagerly, hoping he didn't hear our argument. I really wasn't flirting. Yes, I was looking at his arms, sure, and yes, I was thinking he seemed like a nice guy, but Pen is not psychic as far as I know. It was just a conversation. It doesn't matter that I was daydreaming about what he's like. It's so bad that accessibility help in airports is so complicated, he says, shaking his head. Poor woman walked the whole way here from security and no one offered to help her or contact accessibility. Yeah, and even if you can book 'em, it's like, will they even turn up, adds Pen. And if they do, they're bloody useless and act like they've never met an elderly or disabled person before. Too true. I wish it weren't that way. Pen sizes him up for a second before leaning towards and holding their hand out for him to shake. Pen Jones, occasional care worker and magazine hoarder. Nice to meet you. He laughs and takes their hand. Levi McHugh, itinerant carpenter. And wet willy specialist, I add before immediately regretting everything I've ever said up to this point, but especially that final sentence. My face is on fire as Pen falls apart, cry laughing next to me, and I have to take their iced coffee so they don't spill it everywhere. I should not be allowed out of the house. What is wrong with me? Well, I wouldn't have put it quite like that, he says, that lazy grin widening across his face. But I'll take it. Wet willy specialist. I better update my LinkedIn. I splutter, but then decide it's better if maybe I never speak again. Perhaps I can just get up and walk out of the airport into some kind of void reserved for disaster people who don't know how to hold a conversation with a handsome stranger. Oh, no fear. I'm honoured that my technique has been recognised, he says, and his grey eyes sparkle with mischief. Please, stop. I'm dying, gasps Pen between laughs. I would like to make it clear that whatever rude thing you're thinking about is not what I meant at all, I say with a huff. I know, it's what makes it all the funnier. I'll stick my finger in your nose again if you don't stop laughing at me. Levi laughs with his whole body, like he has no reservations about giving in to the feeling. He flings his head back, watching as Pen and I bicker, which sets us both off again. My mouth is dry as I watch the rise and fall of his broad chest. Well, this is definitely the most entertaining airport meeting I've ever had, Levi says when we finally all calm down. He picks up his carry-on bag, one of those rucksacks that seems to have more pockets than is strictly necessary, and is about to put his book away when Pen spots it. "What are you reading?" they ask. Their eyebrows are raised in interest, book fiend that they are. He holds up the cover. It's Wild by Cheryl Strayed. I've not read it or seen the Reese Witherspoon film. All I know is that she goes for a long walk. "Have you read it?" Levi says. Pen nods and I shake my head. "Do you like it?" I ask. "She's a great writer, kind of fearless. You have to be to go on an adventure like that, I suppose. So yeah, it is good. I could probably do with some fearlessness. Maybe I'll see if I can find a copy at some point. I'm not a huge reader, not because I don't like reading, but because sometimes when my head aches after a long day of listening, I just want to zone out to TV. Planning on going on a really long hike? I ask. "Not right now. I've got a flight to catch." I snort laugh and he grins. "How far through are you?" asks Pen. He tilts the book to demonstrate. "Oh boy, you're about to have a real bad time." "See no more? So where are you two off to today?" Just as Pen opens their mouth to tell him, my cochlear implant starts beeping. It's a sound only I can hear, but it means that my batteries are dying and need to be changed, and it basically won't stop beeping until I do. "Pen," I say and point to my ear under my hair. "What do you need?" they say, giving me their full attention. "I need to go change the batteries." I spring to my feet. Even though I know there's nothing wrong with my cochlear implant when it's on low battery, there's something about it not working perfectly in public that always sends me into a bit of a panic. Usually I like to go change them in the bathroom, preferably in the disabled bathroom, as sometimes there's a little extra space for putting things on and wipes to clean surfaces easily, and also because it's out of sight. I don't love it when I'm fiddling with the batteries and someone comes up to ask me what I'm doing, because then I inevitably have to have a conversation with a stranger about being deaf. And yes, I've always been deaf. No, I don't look deaf, whatever that means. Look, lady, I just wanted to come in here and mind my own business like you should be doing, etc. Or worse, I'll drop a battery and have to scurry around looking for where it went, because no way am I losing a full one. Every battery counts. I rifle through my carry-on bag and find my zip pouch with spare batteries in it. They usually last me a good 2 or 3 days, and it's already been 2. I should have just changed them at home before we left so I wouldn't be stressing, but we left so early. "Do you want me to watch your stuff?" Levi asks as Pen gets up too. "Actually, I think our flight will be boarding soon," Pen says, squinting up at the display in the distance. "Cass, it's all good. We'll take our stuff and go to the loo and then straight to the plane. Okay?" I nod. "Okay." I turn to Levi. "Sorry." "Nope, it's no problem. I hope you can get it sorted." "Yeah, it'll be fine. Just airports, you know?" He nods like he knows, and I feel much calmer, though the implant is still beeping away, an alarm just for me. "It was nice chatting with you," he says. "And you," I say, slinging my bag over my shoulder and pulling out the wheelie case handles. Naturally, the battery change goes simply. I don't drop anything on the gross toilet floor, and when my cochlear implant is reattached to the right side of my head, the beeping has stopped. Everything feels normal again. Or as normal as things can feel when you're about to fly to an island to start a whole new career. The only thing that feels different is the ache in my stomach when on the way to our gate. We pass the seats we were in only moments before, and I see that Levi has gone.